TBRC for kids.
After 40 long years of wandering through the desert, the Israelites were finally at the edge of the Promised Land.
The beautiful place God promised their ancestors. But there was one big problem in their way. The Jordan River.
And this was no gentle stream. The river was overflowing, wild and dangerous. The current was strong, the water was deep, and there were no bridges or boats.
The people stood at the edge, wondering how in the world they would get across.
Joshua, their leader, stood before them with confidence. His heart wasn't troubled because he knew God had a plan.
Joshua raised his voice and said, "Listen, everyone. God is about to do something amazing today. Watch and see how he leads us across this river."
The crowd murmured in excitement. How could this happen?
Joshua turned to the priests, who carried the Ark of the Covenant. A beautiful golden chest that held the 10 Commandments and represented God's presence.
He gave a firm command, "Walk forward into the river." The priests probably looked at the rushing water and gulped. Step into that?
What if they got swept away? But they had learned to trust God. So they took a deep breath and obeyed.
Splash! The moment their feet touched the water, something unbelievable happened. Whoosh! The roaring river stopped flowing.
The water piled up in a great heap, far upstream, like an invisible wall, holding it back. The rest of the river dried up instantly, like it had never been wet.
The people gasped. Their eyes went wide. It's just like the Red Sea. God is making a way for us. Someone shouted.
Joshua grinned. Go! Cross over. Walk on dry ground.
With excitement and amazement, the Israelites hurried forward. Mothers probably held their children's hands tightly, fathers carried baskets, and older kids ran ahead, laughing in wonder.
They were walking right through the middle of the river, where fish had been swimming just moments ago.
Some of the children probably bent down and touched the dry ground. Look, it's not even muddy, one of them said.
For hours, thousands and thousands of Israelites walked safely to the other side. Not one sandal got wet.
But God wasn't finished yet. As soon as everyone had crossed, God gave Joshua another command.
What was this command?
Tell 12 strong men, one from each tribe, to go back and pick up a large stone from the middle of the river. Instructed God.
Joshua called the men forward. Each of you grab a stone from the place where the priests stood. Carry it on your shoulders to the other side.
The men did as they were told, lifting huge, heavy stones and carrying them across. The children watched, curious. What were these stones for?
Joshua smiled and called the people together. He pointed at the pile of stones. These stones will be a reminder of this great miracle.
One day, your children will ask, what do these stones mean? And you will tell them the story of how God dried up the Jordan River, so we could walk into the Promised Land.
The people nodded, their hearts full of joy. Finally, the last ones left, in the riverbed were the priests holding the Ark of the Covenant.
Joshua gave the order. Step out of the river. The priests took their last step onto the riverbank, and suddenly, whoosh!
The water came rushing back. It poured into the riverbed, and roared downstream, just as strong as before.
The Israelites cheered. They had made it. God had done another incredible miracle, just as he had done for Moses at the Red Sea.
That night, under the twinkling stars, families probably gathered around a campfire, staring at the 12 stones stacked high in the moonlight.
This is proof that God is always with us. Just as he was with Moses, he is with Joshua. And just as he led us here, he will lead us wherever we go.
The children probably curled up beside their parents, listening to the cracking fire and the distant sound of the Jordan River flowing again. Their hearts were full of wonder.
Yes. You can trust God's word. Jeremiah 32:27. I am the Lord, the God of all mankind. Is there anything too hard for me?
The adventure in the Promised Land had only just begun.